You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Welcome to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. I'm your co-host, David Wyatt, sitting in with co-host Mikey Football. It's a wonderful day here in the Wyatt Law Studios. We're excited about the interview we've got coming up for you with Richard Seymour. And I will tell you, be on the lookout for what the context or the connection between football and competitive poker. That's going to be very interesting for you. And so, hey, without further ado, welcome.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so blessed to be here. It's a wonderful thing we can do this podcast. I love it.
Very cool.
Yeah, having the podcast released and out there and seeing all the interaction with it.
It's been fantastic.
It's been fantastic, and I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do in the future. But excited about this podcast interview today with Richard Seymour, who's not only was a fantastic player, football player here from South Carolina, went to Hopkins Lower Richland High School out of Gadsden, South Carolina, but a fantastic guy, one of the nicest guys,
great guy
that you can ever interact with. And it was such an honor to have him with us in Greenville in April 2018.
2018 inductee.
Yeah, 2018 inductee, and to have him there. This is a guy who played at 6'6", 315 pounds.
Ooh, that's a man. That's a man.
Beast.
He's svelte right now. Like, he looks like he can play basketball right now and dunk all over your face. But
he didn't take the Levon Kirkland trail, just to eat everything after you finish football. He must have really worked out or ate well, because it took forever for me to kind of.
Well, you're looking good these days.
Well, I'm trying to take care of myself a little better than I did after football. I think after I got released, I was in the basement just eating cheeseburger after cheeseburger. So, but he does. I mean, he really does look good. He does.
But it was cool to catch up with him last week and to get an update on what he's doing. And I mean, he won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots.
Not bad.
Not bad. 12-year career with the Patriots and with the Oakland Raiders. He's an all-SEC player from Georgia. He's a Bulldog. And
one of the best to ever play at Georgia.
One of the best to ever play. He was an All-American in 2000. He's a first overall pick, or not first overall pick, but a 6th overall pick in the first round of the NFL draft. And so, 5-time Pro Bowler, or 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 30 times first team All-Pro, which is killing it.
Yeah.
And last year was his first year eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I believe he made it to the semifinal as a semifinalist in his first year. So I suspect that we'll be seeing Richard Seymour in Canton in the not-so-distant future. But
no question.
Just being able to talk to him for a few minutes, Levon, was special. And you guys had a really good connection, it seemed.
Yeah, we have a very, very good rapport. He's like one of my little brothers. I have plenty of little brothers, even though I was the youngest in my family. I like having little brothers. And I think the cool thing was his poker.
Yeah.
How well he did in the World Series of Poker. Now, I'm only a Uno guy, so it's skip, draw 4. And that's the strategy I know. But I thought it was pretty interesting that he did so well in the poker game.
Yeah, and how he connected, how he used poker in a lot of the same ways that he was successful in the NFL. He kind of used some of those same type of skills for poker, which I thought was interesting. You don't really hear that connection very often.
Right.
Well, it's exciting. We've got a great show coming up for you. We really want to thank you, the listener, the podcast listener, for making this a success. And obviously, it's an honor for us to be on the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. It's all really about you. It's about leadership. Mm-hmm. And so stick in there, and we'll be right back.
Hello, this is Richard Seymour, and you're listening to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Hey, welcome back. This is Levon Kirkland. Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland, and today we have a a great guest, one of the best probably defensive linemen to ever come out of South Carolina. Richard Seymour, man, how you doing, little brother?
Doing well, brother. Appreciate you having me.
No, man, we really appreciate you being with us. And, we've looked at your career along the line, man. You've done such a wonderful job. And we also, man, we're happy to say that you're a part of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a tremendous honor. And, growing up, you hear about all the great players that, came out of South Carolina, and just to be mentioned alongside those guys is a tremendous honor. So I'm definitely grateful.
Okay, well, good. Hey, now, your football career is one of the best careers ever. I mean, you accomplished a whole lot during your time as a football player. But, man, honestly, what I want to start off with is your poker career. Could you tell us how you?
I don't know if I'll say it's a career, but I definitely enjoy playing for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a great hobby. I started playing with my dad a long time ago as I was growing up, and so I always had the skill set, but
right.
Never really, did it like super competitively, And then once I got done playing, one of my buddies were playing. He was kind of playing on tour, and so I just kind of was picking his brain a little bit, and then I just realized that, man, that's one of my skill sets as well, and I enjoy doing it, and it's a way that I can still be in a competitive environment, and I can do that forever, unlike a physical sport. So,
right.
It's enjoyable, and I get a lot of kicks out of it.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, Richard, you can't fool me because you're like 131 out of 805, 569 people. So you're trying to tell us that you're kind of an amateur, but you're pretty good at this. You're pretty good at playing poker. Now,
yeah.
Did you take a lot of money when you were at the Patriots locker room? Did you school a lot of guys?
Well, I played a little bit in the league, not a whole lot,
Right.
Because here's the deal.
Okay.
Like, I always felt like this. I didn't want a teammate mad at me if we had to go play, and he's thinking about the money that he lost to me or I lost to him. I'd rather it like it's a different game in terms of like you can play tournament poker, in which I play, or you can play cash games. And tournament poker is I know my win-loss rate right now. So tournament poker is just kind of speaks to. Let's say the buy-in is, I don't know, let's just give it a round. Let's say the buy-in costs $1,000 and everybody gets $10,000 in chips.
Right.
So, so now we can cap it at a win-loss. So I know how much I'm going to lose or how much I'm willing to put in before the tournament starts, unlike a cash game. A cash game is just like, it's an endless supply.
Right.
So I really try not to get caught in those games. Like I said, I'd rather, play in the tournaments where, some tournaments that I travel around the country with, some are bigger than others. But when my wife started to see me bringing in some cash from poker, she was like, okay, well, when is the next tournament?
I hear you. Yes. If you're bringing in that kind of cash, your wife is definitely going to be on board.
Yeah, no. So now it's funny. So now she's actually looking online like, okay, well, they got a tournament here you can go and travel to.
Hey, read this book, Richard. She's probably saying, read this book. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, but it's been, like I said, it's been super fun, and I met a lot of great people in terms of playing poker. And, like I said, I just thought it was just a natural progression for me. I just thought I had just kind of a natural insight to the game, and then I just kind of honed my skills, and just got better and better over time. So, we just see where it takes us.
Okay. Now, you're saying that you usually have a pretty good skill set. Now, you've been to 3 Super Bowls. You're a 5-time All-Pro. Been a Pro Bowler 7 times. Now, in poker, is it similar to football where there is a little bit of a body language that's going on and that you can key on?
Yeah, well, I think you want to pick up on tendencies of players.
Wow.
Just like, put it like that. I always kind of equate it to like, to be successful in anything you do, I think it takes fundamentals and discipline. And you need fundamentals and different and discipline on the football field as well as on the poker table. You can't be reckless. You have to be very mindful of what's going on, who's doing what, and why. I always say, like, poker's a game about making decisions on the fly. And, it's a decision-oriented game, and you can't really get caught up in the results. Because once you make the right decision, whether it works or it doesn't, you just have to live with that and be happy with it. And that's really no different in life. So, I try to, make really good decisions, and just like on the football field, it's about studying your opponents, knowing their tendencies, what they're trying to do. Whether it's an offense, whether they get the ball out quick, they like to run it, whatever. You just try to pick up on what offensive linemen like to do when they're about to pass it, when it's about to be a run. So you just have little small details about the game, and then once you kind of pick that up, and then you're able to apply what it is that you want to do and how you want to counteract whatever they're trying to do against you. So, like I said, it requires me to bring my A game and play at a high level all the time. And one thing, a lot of the pros pro poker players that I play against, they have a lot more experience because they do it all the time.
Right.
So, it's one thing for me where I have to I may take a little more time to make a decision, but I still may come to the same decision that they did. It just may take me longer just because they have more experience and they've done it a whole lot longer than I have. So, but like I said, it pulls so much from me in order to play at a high level all the time. So that's one of the things that keeps me hungry when I play. When I first started playing, I was just like, well, my card's better than your card, so I should win, But, the game is a lot deeper than that. And, you just kind of learn that, through trial and error and through experience. So it's definitely a fun hobby for sure.
Well, good. My level is just Uno. I just play Uno. So once they start a Uno tournament, I'm going to be in it. But, Richard, you are talking about the fundamentals and the little things. And here at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, that's what we're about, too. We're about giving our young people some great fundamentals, a guideline on how to be successful. And you've been very successful in your career and also in life. This is Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. We're with Richard Seymour. And Richard, let's talk about your first experience with football. Was it something that you and your dad did, or how did you pick up the game of football?
Well, it's funny. Like, I always enjoyed, football was always big in our family. Mm-hmm. So, on Sundays after church, we would all kind of gather around and huddle around the TV while whatever team was playing that Sunday, whether it was the Steelers or the Cowboys or whatever was on that Sunday, we would always watch the games, and it was always a big event. And maybe at halftime we'd go out and throw the football and that sort of thing. And my dad played, my uncles played, I had a lot of cousins that played football. But it's funny, I didn't actually play football until my freshman year of high school.
Richard, I did the same thing.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, that's why I say whatever God has in store for you, it's going to be. I'm a firm believer in that. So, like I said, I didn't play into high school because I was too big. When I was just play with the Pop Warner guys, and
Right.
the weight limits and that
Sure.
sort of thing. So, and then my dad didn't want to move me up to play with guys that were a lot older than me, just because we were the same size.
Right.
So, so like I said, I waited until my freshman year, and I was actually pretty raw, like my first two years playing, and then like my junior year is kind of where I hit a growth spurt, and then it kind of took off from there in terms of, I was probably, I don't know, maybe 6'4", 6'5" or so as a junior, and maybe 285 or so. And I played both ways on offensive and defensive line, and then it just kind of like, obviously my senior year,
right.
I committed to Georgia, and Clemson was in the mix, and the Tar Heels came on kind of late in Tennessee. So like at that point, I just had made the Shrine Bowl, which was a big game there in North Carolina, South Carolina. So that's kind of where I got a lot more exposure.
Right.
But from there, I just kind of, my game just really kind of took off once my maturity level and my size and everything kind of meshed together. So, but yeah, no, that's kind of how I got started in football.
Okay. Now, you went to Georgia. There's South Carolina. There's Clemson. What made you choose Georgia over some of the schools that were in your state?
Yeah, well, actually, Georgia was the first school to offer me a scholarship.
Right.
And I'll say this, South Carolina, the Gamecocks, they recruited me hard like my sophomore and junior year, but I really didn't hear from them a lot my senior year. Okay. So, so they didn't really recruit me my senior year, but Clemson was always very strong. So if I went anywhere in state, it definitely would have been to Clemson. What was funny, like being from right there, right outside of Columbia, it wasn't a bad drive down to Athens. It was, it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes or so, and we were down to Athens. So, and it was funny, like a lot of my classmates that took a scholarship to Georgia as well, they were obviously from Georgia, but it was a closer drive for me, and they were in state and I was out of state, so. But like I said, I mean, it was, like I said, if I went anywhere in state, it definitely would have been to Clemson. And then it's funny, the Tar Heels, they wanted me to come as an offensive lineman. So I just kind of knew I scratched them off pretty early after that.
I can't imagine you playing offensive lineman, but you probably would have been a very good offensive lineman. This is Inside Blitz, and we're talking to Richard Seymour. Richard, your career with the Patriots is well documented. 3 times you guys win the Super Bowl. How was it playing in that culture? And we talk a lot about culture and how that made a difference. With the New England Patriots, can you give us an insight of how that culture works to our audience?
Yeah, well, for me, obviously, I was drafted 6th pick overall to the Patriots, and it's funny. It was a storybook for me because my first year in, boom, we win the Super Bowl right off the bat, and I'm a rookie. And I'm like, man, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be pretty easy.
I got about 5 more in me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I know we got about 5-6 more Super Bowls in us. But like I said, I learned so much. I think really for me, I think one of the things that I would say was one of our keys to being successful year in and year out. Human nature is like once you do something good, you kind of relax and or feel like you've made it to some degree. But it was always, what's next? So nobody never rested on their laurels. I think Coach Belichick done a great job of keeping everyone motivated, and we played to a standard. And I also think we had a great mix of veteran guys, but also young, youthful talent, and it was just a great mix. And then we had leadership in the right places, and I think it came from Coach Belichick on down, just in terms of not leaving a stone unturned. If it was something that we needed to do, like, I think he's done a great job of the attention to detail, just like I go back to in terms of the fundamentals and the discipline and doing things the right way, and having the right attitude and being a good teammate. So those are the right things. Those are a lot of the key ingredients. And then also, I think we had a lot of really good quality men in that locker room who it was important to. I'll say this, like, we weren't really caught up into what kind of car you're driving or what kind of house you have or anything like that. It was really a culture of hard work, discipline, doing things the right way, being a good teammate, being a good person. And, those were some of the core values that, I learned growing up, with my mom and dad. So it was just really an easy transition if you have your head on straight and trying to do the right thing.
Hey, Richard, this is Mike. Could you just briefly kind of tell us if there was any difference when you went to the Raiders, or is obviously both organizations have been on different trajectories over the last few years, but Raiders have a historic football history. But going over to the Raiders, how was that? Was there anything you had to do differently, or was there a big difference between how they structured their organization to what the Patriots did?
Well, I'll say this. I just think in terms of talent, I think we were pretty similar, maybe even a little more talent out in Oakland, just in terms of pure team speed and athleticism. But I will say, just in terms of, obviously from the quarterback position, Tom is Tom, and, he, is one of the all-time greats. And then out in Oakland, I just think it wasn't as much structure to some degree, just in terms of, overall team structure. So that's where I probably have, I give the edge to New England, just in terms of the attention to detail, and I'll say this, it isn't just Oakland. I mean, I think when you compare the Patriots to a lot of teams in the league, a lot of teams may think they're doing things the right way, or, have a grip on what they're trying to do. But, I just think it's just the level of preparation that the Patriots have, just in terms of from top to bottom and everybody being on the same page. And I think it all starts with the leadership of Coach Belichick. So that's just a tough model to try to compare and compete with, just because it's something that's been in place for so long, and, to just have the right model. So, it's just difficult from that standpoint. But, like I said, I really enjoyed my time out in Oakland. I looked at it as, I was once I was traded to Oakland, it was an opportunity for me personally to also help a lot of other young guys to see the light, so to speak, and to, help mold their careers in terms of, taking advantage of the opportunities that they had at that moment. So, it was, it was different for me, but I also had validation, just in terms of not necessarily in wins and losses, but also having other guys take advantage of the opportunities and maximizing, on their next contract and taking care of their finances and doing little things like that. So it was definitely fulfilling for me to be out in Oakland.
You're on the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. We got Richard Seymour here. Richard, one of our taglines is making a difference through football. How did football make a difference through your life?
Oh, wow, man. I can go on and on there. But, I would just the quality of, because there's a lot of parallels in terms of football and life, just in terms of hard work and discipline and doing the little things the right way and being consistent in terms of never being too high or never being too low if things don't go your way. It just teaches you how to be a fighter, so to speak, in life. And I think, if you live long enough, we all know life will, knock you down. But, it's about how many times you can get up and the level of being prepared and preparation. And, so I just think football has a great way of teaching so many lessons. And, things don't work the first time, but, it's just about the consistency of when things don't work, what's your level of determination and, just also, with the family, being a good teammate, being a leader, so it teaches you so much and, it teaches you to work with other people. So I just think those are some of the qualities that, it's hard to learn just in everyday life, but I think sports has a great way of bringing everybody together and, teaching the small lessons in life.
Amen, brother. Amen. Now, one more question before we let you go. One more question. Okay. Now, we talk about Belichick and how detail-oriented that he was. Can you give us a good Belichick story? I know you got one. It's several. But I'll say this: I think Coach Belichick, when he's locked in with football, I think he's all football. He's all about winning and doing whatever. But I also think a lot of people don't. Also know outside of football, like he has a great personality, and he's quick on his feet just in terms of a lot of small jokes or is he sarcastic though? Yeah, no, he can throw some sarcasm. The best of them, Actually, him and Mike Vrabel. Braves has the same kind of attitude when he played, but obviously he's a head coach in Tennessee now. But he was the same way, just in terms of being a coach on the field. But I think when you get him outside of those settings, you really see his personality come shining through. But I don't want to give too much away on him right now. He might give me a call. well, I definitely understand that. If he's listening to this show, man, we're doing very, very well. So, hey, Richard. Hey, Richard, we really appreciate your time and your energy. Thank you so much for allowing us to interview you. And I look forward to you going to the Hall of Fame pretty soon now.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to that myself. And, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Man.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. So proud of you, man. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Welcome back to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. What an awesome interview that was. What do you think about that, Richard Seymour, Levon?
Oh, Richard's a great guy, but you know what I like? I like that he played poker and he has a great hobby. Now, are you a card player? Do you like poker?
Well, I played a little bit of blackjack.
Oh, blackjack. Okay. Tell us about your blackjack history.
Well, I tell you what, I had a mentor of mine of sorts named Sam Outen. He's a lawyer, and when we first started working together, he and I were going out to Vegas, or he brought up this Bobby Singer's statistically superior blackjack moves. And so we had we made up the flashcards.
Right.
Be like, you got an 11. What do you do? Well,
right.
You double down.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Well, see, that's something I didn't know.
Oh, I got you. Well,
Okay,
but I'm not
So
really
you guys
a
are
player.
trying to beat the house, huh?
Oh, yeah. We were trying to put it to him. I think he did a little better than I
Oh,
did.
okay.
But anyway, this podcast, it's been great to be on this podcast with you. And you're a leader, Levon. You've been a leader on teams and all your life. And, of course, being a Ring of Honor recipient now, that's certainly some of the highest leaders and respect that you can get. And in this podcast, you have a section called the Inside Look. And that's where you give us and the listeners tips on how do you do better at life? And so with no further ado, we're coming to you, Levon Kirkland. What is your inside look this week?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'm a guy who really likes quotes, and especially motivating quotes. So I'll read a couple for you. Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Vince Lombardi, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. Now, those are some really good quotes. Now, what are those quotes are talking about? They're basically talking about taking risks, because if you don't take shots, man, you don't score. So you got to take shots. And the other thing is about when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. That's the thing I love about football. It teaches you that if you get knocked down, man, you got to get back up. And I think those lessons go on to life also. You're going to have bumps. You're going to have times when you get knocked down, but you got to get back up. So I'm telling my people today, get back up and take that shot.
I like it.
Good stuff, right?
You like that, Mike?
I like it.
Oh,
That's
good.
awesome.
So, Mike, what we got going on?
Well, August 24th and 25th, we're going to be out at the Greenville Convention Center.
Mm-hmm.
My man Levon Kirkland's going to be playing some Madden 20 with the winner of a tournament out there.
With the guys who always stay in their basement and been playing forever.
That's right.
So I got to take on that guy.
That's right. But,
Awesome.
video games are real, right?
Yeah. At one time people used to get on you about playing video games. You're going to rot. You're not going to do anything. Now these guys are making so much money.
Yes.
Video games.
Some kid just won $3 million.
Yeah, I heard about that. Isn't that crazy?
That's great.
So you can't tell your kids that anymore. You can't tell them like, hey, get off that video game, because you can make some pretty good money.
So we're going to be out at the Southeast Game Exchange at the Greenville Convention Center on the 24th and 25th of August. We're going to have a booth set up there. We'll be able to interact with the fans. Levon's going to be saying hey to people and probably signing some autographs, taking some pictures, and kissing some babies.
And that's what I do.
Kicking some butt on Madden 20,
Man, I hope I get a first down.
But, one thing that we'll be able to do, that we think that we're going to be able to announce our class of 2020 nomination list at the convention center as well that weekend. So we're excited about that. And one thing you can do once that nomination list is announced is you can vote.
Hey.
Yes.
And you know how you can vote? You can become a member.
Hey.
How do you become a member? You go to SCFHOF.org, hit join, and sign up for a recurring supporting member there. And that will help us support our programs. But also you get an opportunity to vote for the upcoming class. Also the Blanchard Rogers trophy recipient presented by Hales. And so...
How else can you get in with the Football Hall of Fame?
Well, always you want to keep up with us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at SCFootballHOF. And then you can also follow us on YouTube as well. We have a YouTube channel, so make sure that you follow us on that channel, because you'll be able to watch Levon Kirkland on the Inside Blitz.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, the football, a lot of times, and of course we're at the Hall of Fame, we're making a difference through football.
Right.
That's our thing. Levon came on about 6 months ago, helped us with Educate, Empower, Encourage. That's one of the programs that we have for these young people. Football is such a great game, but oftentimes young people don't understand the skill sets they get. The game teaches you how that's transferable to the marketplace. What is the marketplace? So we have developed programs and are addressing those needs to really try to make a difference through football, to lead our community. Levon, you've done a great job with that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. You guys are absolutely wonderful. And without a team, man, you can't get it done. So I'm glad that I'm just back on the team.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the team.
Thank you.
And we really want you to become a member. I'm a member. My whole family's a member.
I'm a
it's less
member.
than $10 a month per family member. Levon's a member.
Yes.
And we want you to be a member too. So go to scfootballhof.org. Be the change. Hey, join our legacy. This is something that you can tell your kids and your grandkids about, and it's just something that you can feel good about, because we are changing lives here at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. We appreciate you, Levon.
Oh, thank you, guys.
And Mike, always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And we want to give a shout out to our producer with the most, Evan Tripp. Thanks for all that you do for the show. And so, hey, we're going to sign off here at the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. Another great show. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.